A very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. I'm Vidushni Sadish Kumar.
A very good evening indeed. I'm Charita Minipurarachi, and let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news. The inclement weather severely affects many areas of the country. The Prime Minister instructed officials to provide relief to the affected people immediately. The owning company of the burnt ship asks for forgiveness from Sri Lankans. The UK expresses support for Sri Lankans' development. The US joins Corona vaccination program. Passengers and airlines arriving from African and Latin American countries banned from entering the country. 15,000 second doses of Sputnik V vaccine will be brought to the country next week. On to those and other stories in detail now, and starting off with local stories. Chief Executive Officer Samuel Yeskovitz says that he asks forgiveness from the Sri Lankan government and the people for the damage caused by the burnt Express Pearl ship. He said that he would support Sri Lankan government to minimize the environmental damage. He has said that complete damage has to be assessed to pay compensation. International attention has been paid to the environmental damage caused to the ship by the Express Pearl ship. International media and environmental organizations have pointed out that a serious damage to Sri Lankan oceans and coastal environment has been caused by 25 tons of nitric acid, other chemicals and plastics. They have pointed out the damage that could more if there is an oil leak from the ship. Owning company of the Express Pearl ship, Singapore's Express Feeder, is considered to be the main respondent of the incident. Ship Executive Officer Samuel Yeskovitz was interviewed by Singaporean CNA television. He said that chemical containers were loaded to the ship at Jebel Ali Harbour in Dubai. He told that CNA television that they came to know about a leak at Hamad Harbour in Qatar. He said that requests were made to Hamad Harbour and thereafter to Hazir Harbour of India to unload the damaged containers. However, those harbours had said that they didn't have human resources and machinery to handle them. Thereafter, he said that accident occurred when the ship was sailing towards Colombo Harbour.
What is your company doing about this potential environmental disaster?
And apologies to the Sri Lankan people for the harm this incident has caused.
What is your company doing about this potential environmental disaster?
What we are doing, we have engaged since the incident. First of all, I'd like to express my deep regrets and apologies to the Sri Lankan people for the harm this incident has caused both to their livelihood and to the environment of Sri Lanka. What we are doing, we have engaged since the incident started about 10 days back. We have engaged the ITOP, which is an International Tanker Oil Pollution Fund, who are experts in monitoring environmental problems, and we have been on the case since then. I would just like to say that so far there have been, and this is true for Singapore 5 p.m. today, there have been no oil pollution detected.
A group of CID officers reached the destination this afternoon to inspect the ship. The CID has taken into custody all emails sent before the fire erupted on the 20th May after by the captain of the ship to the Singaporean owning company and the local agency and their replies. Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana said that they would analyze the assistance request by the ship and the advice given using the emails. The CID has recorded statements of 11 persons including the captain of the ship. Meanwhile, a fundamental rights petition has been filed in the Supreme Court requesting to issue an order to the authorities to conduct an investigation to find the way Express Pearl ship extracted Sri Lanka's free. The petition has been filed by the Executive Director of Environmental Justice Centre, Hemantha Vidanage, and a group of fishermen. The petitioners have requested to conduct an investigation into how the ship permitted to enter Sri Lanka when there was an accident.
Well, the water levels of Kalu and Kalani rivers are now on the rise due to recent torrential rains, the Disaster Management Centre warned today. And taking into account the new development due to the adverse weather conditions, the DMC has urged people living in following areas of Kalani and Kalu river basins to remain alert on significant levels of flooding.
More than 5,000 people been temporarily accommodated in safety evacuation centers. All safety and health guidelines been taken place with our officials as well as the community has been completely informed with that particular situation. The relief service has been activated and all the damaged houses will be assessed by our technical officials and will be paid the compensations in due course as soon as possible. Guidelines of our officials and as well, and the water levels, rising water levels been observed. The Athanagaluoya, Kalaniganga and Kaluganga, people are still being advised to be vigilant with that particular situation. 6 districts been affected that particular situation. 36 division secretary areas been affected and 2 deaths been reported so far in Ratnapura and Puttalama. Affected districts been identified as Gampaha, Ratnapura, Colombo, Puttalam and Kalutara and Nuwara. The many roads been inundated. The water levels are landslide warning still there for the Colombo and the Gaul, Kalutara, Kegol, Mathura and Ratnapura district. Especially the level 1 warning been issued at Mathura district, Petersburg area and the Ratnapura district, Alapatha, Kurubita, Ratnapura and Kirial area. And the level 2, the warning been issued by the NBRO, Setavaka and the Neluva and Valalla from Kalutara district, Neluva from Gaul district, Dehiyo from the Kegol district and Ayagama at the Ratnapura district as well. And the red level warning yesterday been issued in Kalutara district, Bulasingala, Ingiriya, Palindranur and Agalavat. So a lot of people been evacuated for these from these locations which were identified by the NBRO as high priority for the landslide risk. And in Ratnapura area, red alert been issued for the Heligod and Kalawan area as well. So 117 call center number is completely open and we are completely monitoring all the relief and search and rescue missions with the help of military and the police, and all the district disaster management units being completely deployed with that services as well.
Well, on the same note, on the weather situation, one person has died and another has gone missing following a landslide at Ratnapura, Kiriyalla, Ellagawa area. The disaster management said that the landslide has occurred this morning. Well, meanwhile, the irrigation department says that several reservoirs, including Kalni River, Kaluganga, Ginganga and Athanagaluoya, are reaching minor flood situation levels due to heavy rains in the western, southwest and Sabaragama province and in some other districts. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has instructed the officials to take steps immediately to provide relief to the affected people. An earth mound has collapsed on a house at Kiriyalla, Ellagawa area. 2 persons in the house and another individual walking by had been buried under the earth. People in the area have rescued a woman and admitted to the Ratnapura General Hospital. The body of a 16-year-old young woman was found this afternoon. Search operations are continuing to find the other person. Police say that a 15-year-old student has gone missing at Mahava Divisional Secretariat area due to floods. He is a grade 10 student of Kudaveva Primary School. The Navy drivers have launched operations to find the missing student. A 21-year-old youth has drowned at Madampe Mugunuwattana area and he is a resident of Pahala Dumalasurya Mugunuwattana area. An earth mound has collapsed on a building of Ratnapura Tamil Mahavidyalaya, severely damaging the building. Five houses have been damaged after an earth mound collapsed on a housing scheme on Biyagama, Boroluwa Road.
रत्नपुर डिस्ट्रिक्ट के अहलीगुड़ सह कलवाना प्रादेशिक लेखा कोटा से उल्टा कलता डिस्ट्रिक्ट के बुलासिंगला
Transport on the road from Padukkotavisavela through Keenagahavela has been obstructed due to the collapse of an earth mound to the road. The irrigation department says that 200 millimeters of rain occurred to upper, central and lower areas of the Kalni River. Accordingly, the irrigation department says that the river can reach spill levels within the next few hours. The irrigation department has warned that the minor flood situation in the lower areas of Kalni River bank can increase to a considerable flood situation.
ගස් ඇදවීම, විදුලි කණු ඇදීම ආදී නිරීක්ෂණය කළොත් එහෙම හැකි ඉක්මනින් ආරක්ෂිත තැනක් කරා යන සිල්ලා සිටිනවා.
Several low-lying areas including Vallampitiya, Kolonnawa, Kohilavatta, Sedavatta and Meegoda Kolonnawa were submerged due to heavy rains. The water level of Ginganga has increased due to heavy rains in many areas of the Galle district since yesterday. The district disaster management unit has requested the people living in low-lying areas of Ginganga to be vigilant. Several low-lying areas in Horana, Bulat Sinhala and Ingiriya were submerged. Horana Panudura Road has been blocked at Kulupana area and Horana Matugama Road has been blocked at Bellapitiya area.
And meanwhile, a meeting took place between President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and British High Commissioner in Sri Lanka, Sarah Halton, this morning at the Presidential Secretariat. The High Commissioner praised the government's Corona pandemic control program and expressed views about the support that can be given to the vaccination program. Attention was paid on the contribution that can be given by the British government to the efforts of the President to build a trade economy. Attention was also paid on extending technical knowledge on the program by the government to get 80% of renewable energy of the local power generation by 2030. The British High Commissioner agreed to support storing and transmission of solar power. She commended the decision taken by the President to protect environment by using organic fertilizer. The government has planned to increase forest cover from prevailing 20.8% to 30%. The British High Commissioner has paid her attention on providing necessary knowledge and methodologies in this regard. The President requested Britain to provide technical support to study and damage caused to the environment by the express fuel ship. The President explained details about the Geneva proposals and the government's program on several issues including solving of land issues. First Secretary of the British High Commissioner Andrew Price, President's Chief Advisor Lalit Viratunga and Foreign Secretary Admiral Jayannath Columbage were present on this occasion.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa has issued a statement in connection with the corona pandemic. The opposition leader has said that the entire world has turned upside down in the wake of the spread of corona pandemic. The opposition leader has pointed out that everyone should express their appreciation to the entire health staff for the services rendered by them risking their own lives. Therefore, he has emphasized that the government should pay its attention on increasing facilities in the health sector. Well, on another note, providing of 5,000 rupee allowance to the people who lost their income due to travel restrictions took place successfully island-wide today. And State Minister Shehan Semsingh said that the 5,000 rupee allowance will be given at the first round for the families specifically identified, and information is being gathered on others who have lost their livelihood and entitled to relief. He said that they would be provided with the allowance after the information is received. The 5,000 rupee allowance for the Samudi recipients under the Nochiyagama Divisional Secretariat area was given at the Lindavava Samurthi Bank. Parliamentarian KPS Kumarasiri was present on the occasion. 12,581 families of 60 Gram and Ladari divisions under 5 Samurthi zones in the Virakati Divisional Secretariat area are entitled for the 5,000 rupee allowance. More than 63 million rupees have been allocated to pay the allowance. 5,600 Samudri recipients at Galle, Kadavat, Sathar Divisional Secretariat area and 1,374 Samudri recipients at Bope Poddala Divisional Secretariat area were paid the 5,000 rupee allowance. Disabled persons at Akmimana area who could not come to get the 5,000 rupee allowance were given the allowance by visiting their homes. The 5,000 rupee allowance was given to low-income recipients in areas including Mathura town. It was distributed through Samurthi banks at 16 divisional secretariat areas in the district. Our reporter says that distribution of the 5,000 rupee allowance is taking place successfully in the Kandy district as well. 6,438 Samurthi families were given financial assistance yesterday at Haris Patua Divisional Secretariat area.
Meanwhile, police says that a special operation will be launched to find whether the groups who were reporting for essential services are truly staying in those places. Police said that 6 teams of officials have been deployed for the operation. Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana said that details of persons travelling on roads and in vehicles are being taken randomly at roadblocks. Thereafter, an operation is being conducted to check whether those people have arrived at the offices and are in those places. He said that travel restrictions will be strictly imposed next week, which is a decisive one. He added that only essential persons should arrive during the next week and the heads of organizations should do so.
ලබන සතිය තීරණාත්මකව සංචලන සීමා කරගත යුතු සතියක්. ඒ නිසා ඊට අනුගතව කටයුතු කිරීම හැම කෙනෙකුගේම වගකීමක් හා යුතුකමක් වෙනවා.
The Colombo Magistrate Court ordered to bail out 7 suspects arrested today in connection with holding a birthday party at a 5-star hotel in Colombo violating quarantine regulations. They were released on a personal bail of 100,000 rupees each. 4 male suspects and 3 female suspects arrested by the Colombo Crimes Division were produced in court. The case is scheduled to be taken up on the 27th of August again. After bailing out, 6 of the suspects were taken to Pasara quarantine centre and the mother of Chandimal Jayasinghe was subjected to quarantine at home. Meanwhile, the CCTV footage related to the birthday party was released to media today. Search operations in connection with travel restrictions were implemented in many areas today. After inspecting vehicles entering Colombo, stickers were pasted on them which are valid only for 24 hours. A special census entering the Western Province was conducted yesterday from 6:30 am to 9:30 am. Police said that 62,235 vehicles entered Colombo city during that time. 886 persons have been arrested during the 24 hours ended at 6 am today for violating health guidelines. Meanwhile, a bus carrying a staff from a hospital was inspected at Kaluthara South roadblock this morning. It is reported that other public servants are not in the health sector were also in the bus. An operation was conducted today to look into whether the people arriving in Anuradhapura town are coming for essential services. It was conducted jointly by the medical officers and public health inspectors of the Anuradhapura Urban Council and the police. The persons who were not arrived for essential services were subjected to rapid antigen tests. The health authorities took steps to close a wholesale vegetable trade stall in the Bandaravath town which has been closed under quarantine regulations. Meanwhile, traders who are not wearing face masks at the market were severely warned. Distribution of 1,000 rupee relief packs containing essential goods for the people in isolated areas and under quarantine commenced today under the patronage of Minister Bandula Gunawardena. Sri Lanka Army and police are assisting in this regard. A group of people including State Minister Lasantha Lagiyavana were present on this occasion. Steps have been taken to limit Asala festival of the historic Ruhudu Mahakataragama Devale only to rituals. The decision has been taken by the process committee which met under the patronage of Montreal District Secretary Gurudas Amarasinghe. The essential festival, which will commence on the 10th of July, will end on the 24th of July following the water cutting ceremony.
The Director General of Civil Airline Services has imposed a ban on passengers and airlines arriving from Africa and Latin American countries. The ban is effective on the passengers who toured the region during the past 14 days or transited to another flight through an airport in the relevant region. The ban on passengers arriving from Vietnam and India is further effective. Meanwhile, 48,125 have been given the vaccines under COVID vaccination program yesterday. State Minister Professor Channa Jayasumna said that 15,000 second doses and 50,000 first doses of Russian Sputnik V vaccine are scheduled to be brought to the country next week. The second dose of the COVID Shield vaccine has been given to 795 yesterday. The first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine has been given to 45,047. The first dose of the Sputnik V vaccine has been given to 2,283 yesterday. 2,232,816 vaccine doses have been given so far under the COVID-19 immunization program. 2,735 COVID-19 patients were detected in the country today. Meanwhile, 1,884 patients left the hospitals today following recovery. Accordingly, the total recoveries in the country has increased up to a total of 164,281. 32,690 COVID-19 patients are still receiving treatment in hospitals. The Director General of Health Services has confirmed 42 COVID-related deaths from 11th May up to yesterday. Accordingly, the total number of deaths has been increased to 1,608. The Minister of Health has requested the people not to experiment with medicine or any other items that have not been used before as treatment for COVID-19. A program has been launched to send medicine by post to the patients who obtain medicine from the Colombo National Hospital clinics. The telephone numbers can be found from the national television website www.runews.lk. A stock of equipment, including beds that will be needed by the COVID-19 Intermediate Treatment Center at LPTA, was donated yesterday by the Ceylon Electricity Board and Lanka Electricity Company. An oxygen supply system with a capacity of 10,000 oxygen litres for Homagam Base Hospital, which has been allocated for COVID-19 patients, was set up as a donation of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Engineering Union. Minister Bandula Gunawardena was present on the occasion. An oxygen tank with a capacity of 6,000 litres was donated to Kuliyapita Teaching Hospital with the financial assistance of MS Holdings, Slimline and Slimtex factories.
Moving to the COVID-19 update from India, dozens of Jews from India's northeastern Manipur state have delayed plans on immigrating to Israel as family members have fallen ill with COVID-19 and have been placed in quarantine in a New Delhi temple.
India has ordered its first batch of an unapproved COVID-19 vaccine, just a day after criticism from the Supreme Court over its bungled vaccine rollout. The government is buying 300 million vaccine doses from an Indian company called Biological E, putting down an advance of $205.6 million. The shot is still going through phase 3 clinical trials. The Health Ministry says the deal with Biological E is part of a wider effort to encourage local manufacturers in research and development. Millions of people have been left vulnerable in India's devastating second wave of the virus. Almost 338,000 people have died, and only 4.7% of the adult population of 950 million have been given 2 vaccine doses. India is already inoculating its people with AstraZeneca and Covaxin shots, and it's set to commercially launch Russia's Sputnik V later this month. But supplies are running low after the government opened vaccines to all adults last month. Some vaccination centres have had to close down, prompting Supreme Court criticism over a lack of planning. The government said this week it could have as many as 10 million doses each day in July and August, up from just under 3 million now.
Well, moving on to COVID-19 situation in Melbourne. Australia's Victoria State authorities said today that the state had detected the highly infectious Delta COVID-19 virus variant for the first time in the latest outbreak in Melbourne, stoking concerns of a major spike in cases.
Australian authorities said Friday they've detected the highly contagious Delta variant of COVID-19 in Melbourne. It's sparking concerns of an incoming spike in cases. The Delta variant, which likely caused the outbreak in India, is one of 4 more contagious variants classified by the World Health Organization. It was detected in 2 family members who traveled from Victoria State to neighboring New South Wales 2 weeks ago while likely infectious, and visited several popular tourist locations there. Victoria's Chief Health Officer, Brett Sutton, said Friday it was possible the 2 had contracted the virus in New South Wales, but more tests would be needed.
It's obviously a concern that it's not linked to other cases, but we are absolutely, as we've done for the Melbourne cluster, chasing down all of those primary close contacts for this family and looking into where it might have been acquired.
New South Wales has not reported any local cases in a month. Meanwhile, Victoria, Australia's second most populous state after New South Wales, is battling to contain its latest outbreak after more than 3 months of no cases. The government has linked all the cases to a single traveller released from quarantine after testing negative. Melbourne is in its second week of hard lockdown, which authorities have blamed on the spread of the Kappa variant, also first detected in India. Snap lockdowns, regional border restrictions, and strict social distancing rules have helped Australia contain prior COVID-19 outbreaks.
Meanwhile, the 24th St. Petersburg International Summit commenced on the 2nd in Russia. Minister Vimal Veeravansha and State Minister Ajit Niwad Cabral are representing Sri Lanka at the summit. The summit is held with an attendance of 120 diplomats around the world, including Russian President Vladimir Putin. The summit was first held in 1997. Chief Executive Officer of the state and private companies are also attending the summit. Minister Vimal Veeravansha said that the summit will provide an opportunity for the diplomats to identify global problems and to propose solutions to those issues. And the US President Joe Biden has announced that US will swiftly donate an initial allotment of 25 million doses of surplus vaccine overseas through the United Nations-backed COVAX program, promising infusions for Sri Lanka and the South and Central America, Asia, Africa and others at the time of glaring shortages abroad and more than ample surplus at home. The doses marks a substantial and intermediate boost to the lagging COVAX effort, which to date has shared just 76 million doses with needy countries. The announcement came just hours after World Health Organization officials in Africa made a new plan for vaccine sharing because of an alarming situation of the continent, where shipments have ground at a near halt while virus cases have scaled over past 2 weeks. Overall, the White House has announced plans to share 80 million doses globally by the end of June, most through COVAX. Officials says a corner of nations excessive will be kept in reserve for emergencies and for the US to share directly with allies and partners of the first 19 million donated through COVAX. Approximately 6 million doses will go South and Central America, 7 million to Asia and 5 million to Africa. The remaining 6 million of the initial distribution of 25 million will be directly by the White House to US allies and partners, including Mexico, Canada, South Korea, West Bank and Gaza, India, Ukraine, Kosovo, Haiti, Georgia, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq and Yemen, as well as 4 United Nations frontline workers. Meanwhile, the US government has taken steps to provide a stock of medical equipment to Sri Lanka under the USAID program immediately. The stocks include 880,000 protective clothing for health workers and 1,200 oximeters. The US aid is scheduled to reach countries today. The US government has earlier provided $11.3 million of emergency and under Sri Lankan government's COVID-19 response program, 200 breathing machines were also donated. The Australian government also donated a stock of medical aid to Sri Lanka today. They were boarded Mattula Rajapaksa International Airport by a plane belonging to Australian Royal Air Force. The value of the stocks is more than $245,000. A group of people, including Minister Amal Rajapaksa, State Minister G.B. Chanaka, and Australian High Commissioner in Sri Lanka David Hawley, were present on this occasion. And with that, we conclude tonight's news. Do it us tomorrow, very same time. Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.
we're off to play trappers in Quebec. So get ready, buckle on your snowshoes and dust off your furry hat, because we'll soon be off to the backwoods. But first, the city you'll probably fly into, Montreal.
Culture and North American architecture, Montreal is a city apart. This sprawling town is extremely welcoming thanks to the easygoing nature of its 3 million inhabitants. It's a melting pot